did we talked about you know, how we are all interconnected.
Yeah.
And I thought, and then when you talked about equanimity, and I thought about the fact that if you are understanding this, you know, the fact that we are all interconnected, that you want everyone to be happy and free of suffering, because if they are happy, then they will infect good things in the world. Because when people are suffering, they are doing things who are negative. So when I think for me, when you integrate those things, then you just naturally want them to be happy and stop suffering.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, this is the new book by Sharon Salzberg, by the way, about, I think it's called Radical, can't remember what, something, you know, where she talks about the connectedness, how we are all interconnected. And the moment we are selfish, we harm others also. It's like, you know, but the moment we start to understand how dependent we are on others, I mean, I don't want the guy who is growing my vegetables to be sick. I want him to be well and happy so he can grow my vegetables. It might be a selfish motivation, but at least it's a good one. It's a helpful one, you know. So and then with time, when the better we ourselves we get, the less we need to be selfish. This is the other thing. Yeah. The more we can expand. But do you have questions from this morning? Because there was one, you know, it's always this kind of, but shouldn't we stop people who are hurting others? Yeah, if you can't stop them, by all means do, but I don't know how to stop these people. You know, first of all, I have to look after myself that I stop harming others. Now, I'm not harming in big scale, but I can also be quite, you know, how to say, unpleasant and not respectful and these kind of things. So, but yeah, if you can stop somebody, then by all means do. But I think when we talk about bodhicitta, by the way, you know, I don't know everybody who is on the thing here. Most of you I know. So most of you, I know that you, when I talk about bodhicitta, you know what I'm talking about. But if I'm talking about something and you don't know what I'm talking about, just put it in the chat and just say, what is it? And if I don't answer, because sometimes I can't read all the chats, I don't have time. If I don't answer, then open your microphone. Say, "Hey, excuse me. I don't know what bodhicitta is." Or these, you know, if I use terms that you don't know what it is, by all means, please ask. I mean, that's what we're here for. And this also is absolutely not a problem not knowing what bodhicitta is. I tell you, most of the part of my life, I had no idea what bodhicitta is. One is not born with the knowledge what bodhicitta is. Okay, so but most of you, you will know when I talk about bodhicitta. So when it comes down to, then we can see the enormity of what this means, you know, not just to have positive thoughts, spontaneous positive thoughts about the people, but also kind of engage in positive action spontaneously. This is like, wow. Yeah, but then they really say, so this is how, if in order to develop bodhicitta, that you have this sense of gratitude, how much you receive from others. You see all beings as your mother. But then you switch. You see, you switch, and then when you have this firm wish to be of benefit to all others, then all beings become your children. Because the um, because the interest for the person to be well in a mother or father is spontaneously there, whereas in the children for their parents, not necessarily. Yeah, like this whole thing, everybody has been your mom. This is to see the dependency that we have on others. Then seeing everybody as your child, this is more, you take responsibility for their happiness and for their well-being, as a good mother or father would do. Does that make sense? Oh, Gila is in the Pure Land. Hi. Clouds behind you. Are you already in Afghanistan or somewhere? You have to open your microphone because I can't hear you.
Only wishful thinking.
Oh, but wishful thinking is good thinking. Excuse me. That's how it starts, with the wishful thinking.
It's powerful one, yeah.
There we know. Then we know where we want to go. So that's a good thing. Nice to see you. So equanimity is the most important.
Very nice to see that.
Huh? Fred, go ahead. We can't hear you. Your mic is closed.
You said it is nice to see Gila, but sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, she's not very far away from you, I guess, is she? No.
No, she's the neighbor.
On top of the hill. Okay. But again, you know, equanimity and love and compassion, we really, really mistake it very often for, well, okay, if I'm equanimous, if I don't have, you know, if I don't have aversion or if I don't have anger for people and all this, then I let them do whatever they want to do. No, I mean, this is something that you really have to be clear about, because you would not let your children do whatever they want to do when you feel that it's harmful for them. And the smaller they are, I mean, you can still stop them, but now they get smaller and smaller and smaller, and you already then you can't stop them anymore. I mean, when I see children sometimes in the street, the way, you know, how they're very opinionated and they really know what they want and they start screaming and this and that, like, then I tell you, quite honestly, I think, I wouldn't know what to do with those children, you know. But they can also be very sweet. We have the whole house is full of kids here. And I really like them. And I think they like me because now with the lockdown, I mean, we're not locked down, but there's very few people coming for the puja, sometimes nobody, because we're also doing it on Zoom. So then I'm left with all the offerings. Yeah. So then I just put it outside in the corridor, you know, for the people in the house. So then I have become very popular in the house because we have 8 more apartments and none of them is Buddhist. So that's good. But I also see, you know, it's not easy to be a kid these days because they're very strong already. They have very, very strong personalities and amongst themselves also. And there's some, even mothers and fathers, no chance to make them change their mind. I don't know how they do this to kind of not get stressed out about the children. Good. Okay, so relating to equanimity, it's hard to find an enemy, and the ones that irritate me. It's hard to find an enemy, and the ones that irritate me are the same ones that are my friends and family. Yeah, but not at the same time. This is it, you know, you can't have both mind states at the same moment. And even if they're friends and family, you know, the way you write it, and the ones that irritate me are the same ones that are my friends and family. So it doesn't mean you have love for them as well, you know. I know families, there's only hate, for example. I know it's not in yours. Yeah. But it's like, again, don't think that these mind states are permanent. And once you have this for somebody, then it will last forever. It's what is there straight away. But I think if it's, again, if it's family, it is, I think, it is very, very rare for a father, mother, grandfather, grandmother to hate their children. It is unfortunately quite common for children to hate their parents. So, but I think for a normal father, mother, grandfather, grandma, I think it's almost impossible. Yeah, so I don't know if it's anybody knows, like the psychologists here in the group, which I'm sure there are many. Anybody has any, you know, psychological kind of explanation why this is? Is it a biological thing? That it's very easy for children to hate their parents as they grow up and not wanting to see them anymore and be irritated all the time. And there's no more love there, actually. Whereas for parents, very difficult to do that for their children or grandchildren. What do you think? You can put it in the chat if you want.
Well, I'm not.
Somebody has 2 devices on. This is what it does when you have a phone and a tablet, or, you know, when you are kind of.
It's me because my computer doesn't have a camera, so
I see. Okay.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but obviously, to my opinion, when a son or a daughter they feel hate towards their parents, it's because they expect the parents to act in a certain way, and the parents do the same. The parents put expectations on the child, and the entire reason they bring child to the world is for the child to represent the parent and to fulfill the parent's wishes. And when they don't, then the parents turn violent. So the entire thing about parenting, I'm non-parental. I'm not gonna have
Yeah, so
children, and I
Anna,
don't
we
want
need
to.
to have people who really know. You know, it's not just opinion here. This is knowledge, like experience. So
Okay.
even though your child doesn't fulfill your expectations, I don't think it's like getting violent or things like this. They just accept. I mean, I can see my parents who were not really loving parents, but they just accepted what I was doing, although it was absolutely not in their interest what they would have wanted me to do. So can you see what I'm trying to get at? That it's like it's almost impossible for parents, I think, to have really strong hate that is there, quite strong, like not wanting to have contact with the children. Once the children become parents, they will understand the fact that the parents do the best. Yeah, it's so true. If you have a problem with your parents, because you think they're too strict or this and that, the moment you have children yourself, then you start to understand them, and I think then the relationship becomes better. Yeah, this is sheer truth. Okay, good. So, but we can again, maybe we can track when we know the attitude that we should have towards all sentient beings. Then I think it's very helpful to take on the attitude that we should see them as our children. It's hard, yeah. I turned against my mother, and I tell you, I don't even know why. It's only now that I start to kind of, I mean, not only now, but when I met Buddhism, I tell you what Buddhism did for me. I was able to dissolve the aversion towards my mom. And for me, that was the best present they could have given me. I had this aversion towards my mother since very, very small. I just didn't like her. Maybe, okay, she didn't care about us. She didn't hurt us, but she didn't care about us. She was hardly ever home. She was totally self-absorbed. I think today she would be diagnosed with the mild Asperger's syndrome. So it could be that the child, not consciously, resents that, but she's not there. But the good thing is we became very independent. But I preferred when she was not there. I didn't like to have contact with her. And then did she feel it? I don't think so. She was so absorbed into her own thing. Maybe she felt, if she felt it, I feel really sorry. But then it's a great blessing to get away. Yeah, it's true to let go. So with this, constantly meditating on the kindness of the mother. I tell you, I hated that meditation. I really did, because the ego inside me was going, no, I don't want to like her. I don't want to have contact with her, because I knew once I like her, then I go and see her. And there was this kind of going backwards and forwards. But the power of repeating these thoughts, yeah, I can still remember the first time I heard this in meditation in Copan about 32 years ago. I still have the feeling that came up, the sensation. Annie Karen was leading the meditation, Kindness of Your Mom. And it was going, if your mother would have left you alone when you were a baby, just 36 hours, you would surely have died. And I was sitting there and thinking, shit, this is true. So you see that I understand that this is true, but still it took me quite a number of years to then at least be careful what I would say when I was talking to her, so I wouldn't kind of totally, maybe hurt her and this and that. But because of repeating these arguments again and again and again and again, very simple arguments. And I still remember the moment when apparently she was very happy because she told her best friend. This is what, when I went home, because she had died. So then her best friend told me that she came, she was very happy and very excited. She said, imagine what she had said, that she was very happy that she gave me this body. So it's probably, the last encounter we had was very friendly. So I hope next time I meet her in another body, it will be, next time I meet her, then the relationship will start off a little bit more friendlier than it did in this life. We didn't hurt each other directly, but it was a difficult relationship from the beginning, from when I was very small. So and I tell you, I'm so grateful to Buddhism that they gave me these tools how to dissolve aversion. Because if you have aversion for somebody, you are the one who suffers. Because if you meet aversion, if somebody doesn't like me, I can move away. That's fine. I can choose. I can choose whether I take it personally or not take it personally. I can get out of their way. But if I have aversion for somebody else, whenever they are here, this is it. I suffer. And then I feel totally stupid because you don't know where it comes from. Yeah, like then you're cold, and even though maybe you're polite, but people can feel that something is not right. And then they ask you, well, come on, what's wrong? And you go like, well, nothing is wrong. What's wrong with you? Because what are you going to say if there's no real reason? Yeah. And you really feel like an idiot. So if you have people around you who suffer from aversion and bad moods, having been one of those, me personally, please have some compassion for them. They have no control. And if they have no tools how to transform it, that's it. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger, because then you start to hate yourself, not consciously, but unconsciously. It's so striking how naturally and openly it was. Where, excuse me, I've been a nun for 30 years and I've been watching my mind for 30 years. So why wouldn't I be able to talk about this? Okay, because I dealt with it. This is also, I'm not feeling ashamed for having hated my mother. I'm sorry. This is about all I can do. And this is what you do. This is what Buddhism is all about. You watch your mind again and again and again. You learn to make the step out of it so that you can watch, because you will then, after a while of training mindfulness, you will notice that your mind can be in a positive or in a pleasant state, in an unpleasant state, panicky, bored, completely calm, completely agitated. But then you notice the one who is watching the mind is always the same way and is very spacious. And that, to me, was great comfort to see that, all the rest, I don't have to identify with it. This is just passing, like the weather. It's passing clouds. I ask a question about mothers. Huh?
Yeah, may I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
So many times in the meditation, we, not in this specific, but we imagine our mother and the kindness of our mother, and then we try to expand the feeling of gratefulness we have towards our mother to all sentient beings. But what if our relationship with I feel very similar to what you're describing, that I have a very difficult and complicated relationship with my mother. Mm-hmm. Many times in my Buddhist practice, I felt very guilty because I don't feel very grateful to my mom. So how can I feel grateful to all sentient beings? So Buddhism often uses relationship to mother as the core, as the anchor, to feel this gratitude and benevolence to all sentient beings. What should I do if I don't have this overwhelming feeling of gratitude to my mom?
Yeah. So again, it's like they talk about the mother, because when you hear the word mother and you think about your mother, you should have a spontaneous feeling of, feeling safe, feeling well, feeling accepted, feeling cared for, and this and that. And I tell you what, I know mothers who are like this.
Of course.
I know mothers who, when I see how they behave with their even grown-up daughters who are horrible to them, but still they kind of, the only thought I have is how to help them and how to make them happy. This is really amazing. So what helped me is first I took somebody that when I thought about the person, because we all have, I don't know about you, but when I was a child, because I could feel maybe instinctively that with my mother, it wouldn't work. I couldn't feel safe with her because she was only concerned about herself. And she was hardly ever home also. She was always out on holiday or with other men. And, she wasn't horrible. So please don't get the wrong picture here. But she was just into her own pleasure and her own thing and her own life. So I found a mother in our neighbor who had already 3 children, and I just infiltrated myself into that family. And so when I think about this person, then the heart opens. Okay, so that was first. And then what also helped me to think, we have had, if you are a Buddhist and if you are practicing Buddhism, you very quickly you get familiar with the idea that we had innumerable lifetimes.
Yes.
And each lifetime I need a mother.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at these kind mothers, like I see some here on the screen. I won't tell them their name. So, because otherwise you'll go and, anyway, or they feel embarrassed. So then I was started to look at kind mothers, what kind mothers, not self-concerned mothers, but kind mothers do with their children. And I thought, well, even this mother in this life who is confused or doesn't know what to do with children, or I don't know, maybe also some biological thing. Even that mother, she's had innumerable lifetimes. So even she, in another life, she was a good mother to me. So that was one thing. And the other thing, I really started to concentrate on the good things she did. She didn't abort me. She gave me this body, and I like this life. I really liked the life I had. And why do I have such a life? Because of my mom. Because she decided to have children for whatever reason. And I did ask her at one point, I said, Mom, why did you ever have children? And she said, she had 2, so I had a brother. And so she said, well, a marriage without children is like a soup without salt. That's the reason why she had, it just, you have to have children. Everybody else is having children. So, yeah. So at that time, you see, when she was young, well, like 70, 90 years ago, it wasn't common like now that it was okay not to have children or not to be married and all this. I think she also married because that's what you did. Yeah. I don't think there was ever love. But this I don't know anyway. So, and then I just concentrated on the good things that she did. She gave me this body. And if you do, from psychology point of view, if you do this thing by Bert Hellinger, like these family constellations where you put people here, this one stands here and this one stands here. Anybody is doing that? I think it does exist in Israel also.
Yeah.
A group of people, and you think about your family, and then you say to the group of people, okay, you're playing my father, you are playing my mom, and then you put them somewhere, in a group, like either close together or outside. And it's a method. It's called Familienaufstellung by an Austrian guy who's called Bert Hellinger. And I happened to read his book, and then also I understood a lot why. So it's not just Buddhism, it's also psychology. This is why I was asking the psychologists. I understood a lot. And he says with the mothers, he says, look, your mother gives you your life. This is a present. That's enough. Whatever else she gives you is an additional present. So with all these tools and with all these things, I was really able to dissolve the aversion towards my mom. And now, I mean, you can feel when I talk about her, there's no anger, there's no resentment, there's no, you see, the advantage why she was like this, I was able to leave home at 15 and earn a living and live on my own and kind of independently. So I had a very long independent life. I didn't have to go to school until I was 25 or something. Yeah.
Now I understand love depends on the level of the awareness. And
Yeah.
if my mother, I know she till today she's a good woman without awareness at all. So she did the best she could, but she's got no awareness. So I don't have to judge her anymore, and Buddhism helped me. She's just unaware. So she's blind.
Yeah.
She did the best she could according to the level of awareness.
Exactly. See, and my mom only
and she had her shit.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean, you know. It's as long as we know that's what they do, they can't do any better. It's not much point expecting things from them that they can't give me. But then also she never hit me, or once she tried to, but then I ran away. But this was my fault because I broke something that she had been working on for very long. So like that. So, you know, they didn't. She didn't hurt me physically, so it's okay. Yeah.
My mother did. She was completely violent, and then she ran away. She had abandoned. But since the Buddhism that I started to learn Buddhism, I understood that she left in a way she knew she's doing no good. It's better she will be away.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sometimes they have this. I have an uncle who killed himself, and I'm sure that was the reason why he killed himself, because he was so violent and he was destroying the whole family. So then, of course, the family itself, they were angry at him because, can you imagine? He hung and shot himself at the same time to make sure that he's really dead. So then they got really angry and say, wow, you know, and I said, look, I'm not sure. I think his reason was that he wanted you to have harmony and peace, and that's only possible when he's gone. And so, because we don't know the reason, but if you start thinking like this, then you can deal with it in a loving way and almost be grateful. And if you think he did it on purpose to make us suffer, to feel guilty, then you know you keep hurting yourself.
And if she was not behaving this way, probably I would never go to Buddhism. Because I was like average, not suffering enough. And because I suffered because of that, so I went to Buddhism and it saved me. So I'm grateful.
Okay, so here's you say, yeah, because it's like many Westerners choose Buddhism because we have mom's issues. I don't know. You know, I was shocked. If I would have known that the mother plays such a big role in Buddhism before starting Buddhism, I wouldn't have started with Buddhism, I tell you. I would have thought, oh, no, I don't want to deal with this issue. Thank you very much. Okay.
Can I ask something about this too? 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Also, mom's issues and dad's one. But I was wondering because I was, contemplating this a lot in my mind because also my parents were not the best example of a parents that you can have as a child. And a lot of the time, I think also from the Jewish point of view, I had a lot of the time, like, you have to respect your mother and father no matter what. And for me, it was like, I just, why would I respect, why would I love, why would I try to care for them if they behave in such a way, And I think when I got into Buddhism, before I felt so, so I distanced myself from this because I just couldn't hear this anymore, because it's sort of like guilt tripping you, and then you're still angry. You feel what have happened to you is not justified, that a child would experience those things. And then you have to forgive because this is what you have to do because they are your parents. And I think that when I got into Buddhism the first time, as you said, I've heard this meditation, I was like, oh my God, I was like, no, do not talk to me about my mother now. And then when they unraveled it with the teachings, I finally understood. There was a reasoning behind it, and I could really let go and start forgiving and healing.
So it's very important. This is what I'm saying, even if there's no enlightenment and no Buddhahood and all this, but just this fact that I was able to dissolve the aversion towards my mom before she died, wow, if Buddhism, that's the only thing they did for me, this is enough. Because my life has changed since then. You see, because I think as a child, even though, don't you think the answer is psychological treatment, psychoanalyst? I don't know. Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't go into, anyway, whatever. If you think that you have to go to the analyst, then that's fine.
I went for 1 year.
Yeah.
It didn't help a lot, and Buddhism solved it.
Yeah, I think we're all individual. You see, it's that this is totally subjective, whether what helps or what not. Try it out. But it can go, Buddhism can go, as Maya says, into total guilt trip, even worse. Yeah. And then, what did I want to say? Because you see, somehow you do know that your parents are the most important people in your life, no matter what they did to you, because they gave you this body. And then if we can't relate to them on that level, we feel not at ease. We know that something is wrong. But if we have no tools to transform it, and the tools can come from psychoanalysts, from psychotherapy, from Buddhism, whatever, or a combination of both. Why not? Why not? Okay. Wow. I didn't think we would go into this, but then I think it's important. I think that the Buddha was a master of psychology. Yes, the Buddha was a master of psychology, but he's not a psychologist. He's just telling us how to become our own psychologist or psychotherapist. He's giving us tools. And now the danger about Buddhism, or let's say the trap in Buddhism, is that it's like there is so many different methods, and then we want to apply them all, and sometimes we don't see they're totally contradicting because we don't know when to apply what. So Buddhism is an experiential vehicle. It's not a devotion vehicle. It's also not a belief or a faith vehicle. You have to analyze, you have to see, you have to take these things, as the Buddha say, apply them to you, and then see if it works. Maybe not just after once or twice. Yeah. If it doesn't work, go and talk to somebody. Maybe you are applying it the wrong way, or maybe it is not the right thing at the moment. Because when I look at the Lam Rim teachings, becoming your own therapist, yes. When I look at the Lam Rim teachings, the way they are built up, everything is so skillful. Everything is psychologically really skillfully done. And it's not just the Lam Rim. If you're from another tradition, the words of my perfect teacher, the Lam Dre, what else do we have? The preliminary practices and all these kinds of things. How first you build yourself up before you start looking after others, for example, or before you start thinking about impermanence and death. You think about precious human rebirth, yeah, so that I can still do something before I die. But then, in order not to get la-di-la and life is wonderful and I have such a wonderful rebirth, impermanence and death, so that you start to do something with this, that it's not going to last. So if this is why studying kind of a bit in a structured way is really important, so that you can see how it is built up and how it fits together, this whole thing. And then what to apply when, because how to say, because if you're already totally up and full of yourself, and wow, life is wonderful, and why, and the practice, then don't meditate on the precious human rebirth, then meditate on impermanence and death. Yeah. If you're totally down and depressed, then if you're an advanced practitioner, it's good to meditate on impermanence and death when you're depressed, because that means from now until I die, am I going to want to spend the rest of my time like this? No, thank you very much. But if you're not so experienced, then better, think about something pleasant. So each of these methods is in order to counteract something that is not helpful for you to be happy and for you to be well. Okay? Okay, there were a few more comments here. Yesh's book, Toda Shuki. Yeah, what's the name in Hebrew? Shuki, what's the name in Hebrew? Okay, so now the next one is love. Yeah, so the equanimity is already a very difficult thing. So now with equanimity, actually, you apply love, compassion, and joy. You apply it then to all beings. So love, and then so it's not attached love, because when we talk about love, it is we usually think this thing that comes spontaneously. You know, you see somebody and you go, wow, and you more or less fall in love with what you see, and you don't really know what it is. But of course, it also goes deeper. It's like relationship, maybe from past lives and things like that. But that's not what we're talking about. So the definition of love in Buddhism is wanting others to be happy. As simple as that. Yeah, it's not complicated. This love is unconditional, and it requires a lot of courage and acceptance. And now, the big thing, including self-acceptance. And this is when we talk about bodhicitta, we always forget. You see, and this is also why the practice doesn't work, because we're not even equanimous towards ourselves. We love ourselves when we have success, when everything goes well, when we're not making mistakes, when people praise us and da-da-da and this and that. And then when we're not successful and we are, you know, maybe we have aspirations, but we can't fulfill them, then we start maybe not hating ourselves, but we start, you know, putting ourselves down, never being happy, always criticizing and not good enough and these kind of things. So this is what is lacking very, very often. And this is why also, you see, there you see the difference between the Pali tradition and the Sanskrit tradition. Yeah, because the Pali tradition, when they do the four immeasurables, they always start with themselves. And for a long time, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be free from suffering. Yeah, until you can feel that, until you get these feelings towards ourselves. So because so many people have a problem to accept themselves the way they are. Yeah, because whatever we are, very often not good enough. And I think, I don't know how it is about Israelis, but Swiss people, because you see, since I am in the West, I see that countries have national delusions. Yeah, at Tushita, I didn't notice it because we're a mix of different nationalities in the group. Whereas when I go to France, or when I go to Spain, or when I go to Germany, and especially here in Switzerland, because on top of it is my country, I start to see like, wow, it's amazing how we are conditioned by the way we grow up. So the Swiss thing is humility. But it's false humility. You see, we go like, no, no, no. It's like somebody says, oh, wow, you got a nice sweater. I can tell you 90% of the people will say, oh, it was very cheap. Or, oh, I bought it in the sale. Instead of saying, oh, wow, thank you very much. I'm happy that you like, you know, like this. You always kind of putting yourselves down. I don't really know why. It seems it's like bad taste to be happy about yourself in a way. Yeah. And, you know, and there's something to be had. I tell you, Israelis and Swiss people is a real problem because it's like, there's this joke, yeah, about two Swiss people. So there was a big orange and a small orange. So the one who was a bit more clever, he asked the other one, so, you know, so here's like the big orange and this is the big one, this is the small one. So he said, you choose first, by thinking, oh, he'll take the small one because the Swiss person takes the small one, you know, first. So anyway, but the person took the big one. And then he said, oh, if I would have chosen first, I would have taken the small one. And then the other one says, well, what do you complain about? Now you have the small one. You see, it's this kind of calculating humility. It's like manipulating somebody into doing what you want them to do because you're kind and you're nice and you're humble. But that's not humility, because then you get very angry when it doesn't work. So that's the Swiss national delusion. So can you see that it won't work with Israelis? You know? Oh, yeah. So this whole thing about accepting ourselves the way we are, it's for many people, it seems like, no, I don't want to do this because otherwise I become selfish. I become even more selfish than I am. But you see, people are selfish and self-concerned and only concerned about themselves when they are not happy. If you're happy with yourself, you become, like a non-nutnik. Your nutnikness, you can throw it out of the window. Yeah, no need, because you're happy. So then somebody takes the big orange. So what? I still have the small one. You don't feel like a friar. Now, you see, Israel is the friar problem there. Yeah. You need to be the first one, So a little bit like this. So it needs, in order to be able to love others unconditionally, you need to be able to love yourself unconditionally, the way you are, without putting a lot of conditions on it. The near enemy of love, like what seems to be love but is not love, so a quality which appears similar but is more an opposite is conditional love, like attached love, either to yourself also, yeah, like I'm the center of the universe. This is the flip chart of what I just said. Or somebody, I love you so much because you're so good to me, or because you this or you this or that. Yeah, so this is kind of business, because if you're not good to me anymore, then I don't love you anymore. Yeah, so a lot of our love is based on that, as we were looking at in the last meditation. When we look at the friend, if we are honest, why is this person my friend? Yeah, because similar interest, and then also, it's so funny, although we all like to be intelligent and smart and come across like this, and so if you have somebody next to us who is not so smart, yeah, then it brings up our own smartness. But we don't like to have friends who are stupid. We don't like to be associated with them, isn't it? But those are the good ones, because next to them you're even smarter, because they can't figure things out. But we don't, because something, it seems as if it's, I don't know why, but it seems as if it drops off and this and that. When somebody says, oh, is this your friend? Somebody who is not very intelligent or a bit neglected or whatever, we go like, yeah. So like, for example, the homeless people here in Bern, when they were still at the train station, then I would just, chat with them or give them something, or usually chat with them. And so when I would pass by, sometimes they would wave. And when people were with me, they're quite shocked. And they say, oh, do you know them? I said, yeah, as people, as persons. But in general, you wouldn't go to a restaurant with a person like this unless you make it really clear, I am taking this person because I'm paying for his meal, kind of, the separation that we want to make to these people, that our ego-centered mind kind of labels them as not worthy to be my friend. Yeah. Whereas with also hate for the aggressor can be mistaken for love for the victim. Yeah, of course. Thank you, Tomé. Yeah. So, so this is good to see, it's like, if I don't want to be seen with somebody, even though I love the person, what is it? When we're alone, we're quite okay with that person, just the two of us. But then somebody sees me, like somebody I respect or somebody higher or better than me, then what is are you justifying yourself or like this? This is a tricky one also. It's a big obstacle also for equanimity, that we need to choose our circle, that we are not, in German, there's a word for this. It's called like, how's it called? Like kind of you feel ashamed for the other, not to judge yourself so much, not to put so many expectations on yourself, you see? So it's really, I tell you, it's not selfish. If you start, you can do this in the break, or you can do this from today until tomorrow. You write down all your good qualities. If we wouldn't be so many people, there's a nice game you can play on Zoom. You think about the first letter of your name, like I see, Nif, N, And then you have to come up with the quality that you have that starts with N. And then you say it for everybody to hear. It's quite a nice game, also to play with kids, with children or teenagers. Yeah. So yeah, not to have so many expectations and to really sit down and write down a list of your qualities, things that you're really good at. You don't need to show it to anybody. You have to look for yourself. Because the more content you are with yourself, and content again, it doesn't mean you stagnate. Content means you relax and you can be yourself. Yeah. So at the moment, the big word in, you know, like the society is, there's these kind of words, you know, I told you this morning, a few years ago, it was optimizing. I have to optimize this and this and this. I think at the moment, the big word is authentic. You have to be authentic. Is that in Israel also? So you're pretty authentical, the Israelis. You don't need to learn that. So that's quite good. Yeah, authentic. So then again, what does it mean? When are we authentic? So we discussed it in the 16 guidelines, by the way, Niv. I did a art of fulfillment seminar and facilitator for unlocking your potential. You know, where you have Buddhist methods, but totally secular. And so we discussed this, you know, and Brené Brown, I think she says, finding your true self. So it only looks authentic. Yeah, so it's a big question, you know. When my heart is full of love, and we need to feel it, we need to, not in the head, it needs to be here. How does it feel? And we'll do it in the meditation. Yeah. How does it feel? And you have to connect with that feeling. Do you feel that this is me, this is I? Or when you hate somebody, or when you're angry, do you feel this is me, this is I? If you can make the step out of it and look at it, it's so important. And really, we came to the conclusion, yeah, feeling authentic is when I have no negative emotions, no unhelpful emotions present. My heart is open. Somebody else is happy. I am happy with them. Somebody ignores me. It doesn't matter. Just being content in a way, you know, and to have that spaciousness, because this is our nature. The spacious mind, not this little box here, always concerned, what are other people thinking about me? What am I doing? This and that. Yeah. So then I was kind of protesting, because I said, when Brené Brown said something about like the true self, I said, well, yeah, but then again, you're looking for something instead of seeing the whole. And then Francois from Vajragini said, well, no, when I feel connected with somebody, then I feel this is authentic and I feel this is my true self, you know? So again, it's very subjective. You have to find out yourself how you feel and how you, you know, what is you. So like the Buddha, what is a Buddha? A Buddha is authentic. A Buddha is himself. A Buddha is, or herself. A Buddha's mind is authentic, means natural, normal. So a Buddha's mind is, as Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche says, is at the height of its normality. So what does it mean? It means it has zero wish to harm somebody, never ever. And it only spontaneously wants to benefit. And believe it or not, this is normal, because then you feel normal. And when you're on the receiving side, when somebody wants to benefit you, it's normal. If somebody wants to harm you, you don't find that normal. You see, sometimes we say, yeah, but you know, the nature of beings, if I look today, the world is so bad. But if somebody harms you, you're not saying, oh, but it's normal. You know that this is not normal or not natural. Yeah. So that's appealing, isn't it? To become fully awakened in order to be normal, natural, like the heart open for all sentient beings. But again, doesn't mean you don't stop others. It doesn't mean you don't put borders. It doesn't mean you kind of exhaust yourself. It doesn't mean that at all. So don't go, you know, use your wisdom when you think about these things. What does it mean to be equanimous, to love everybody? to be able to include everybody you love, not to throw anybody out of your heart, as Jack Cornfield would say. Our hearts are big enough to put everybody there, but you're not responsible for them. You see, the Dalai Lama, maybe I'll show you a little picture because I got some pictures out. To make it a bit bigger. Can you see the picture? You have to say because I can't see you anymore.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see the
Lovely.
connectedness between these two who don't know each other at all? That is normal, you know, not to be afraid of somebody. Whether it's for the Dalai Lama, nobody is insignificant. Yeah, whomever he meets, that's what he says. Whomever he meets, he sees them as a friend and not as a stranger. Because again, this whole thing, everybody wants to be happy, nobody wants to suffer. Okay, so this is what we are trying to be.
But in order to be like this, I have to be in awareness. So I started to make life much slower to keep my awareness.
Yeah, Nachum, I think you heard, yeah? I keep repeating that again and again and again and again. Without awareness, nothing will transform. Without awareness, nothing will happen. Even if you know the 4 schools backwards and forwards and all the arguments, what this is existing and that is not existing. If you don't have awareness, not outside, but awareness what is going on in your own mind, nothing will transform. But with awareness, even though you don't have that much knowledge, still things will transform. It's so essential. It is so essential. And it's so easy to train. I mean, it's not easy. It's not complicated to train, but you have to do it. You know, you can't buy a book and then just having the book and having read the book that gives you awareness. You have to train. You have to sit down. And this is where the groups come in. Of course, now you're in lockdown, so that won't work. But then, you know, the world will open again at one point. You need the Sangha, you need the community to be able to sit so that it becomes a habit. It has to become a habit. You have to train that. Okay, so the attached love we don't want. So the attached love is saying like kind of, you see, attached love also wants the other person to be happy. But it has to be you who makes the person happy. If somebody else comes who makes the person happier, then you're not happy. You see what I mean? And that's not only in couples like this, you know, that can even, mothers sometimes tell me that when the sons are getting, you know, grown up and then they fall in love and they see how they come home and they see how the son is really happy and very excited and that they get some kind of jealous feeling, you know, what is this woman doing to him that he's so happy? And then especially when they leave house and things like that. But still, with the mother's love, still there's some happiness that the kid is happy. But then if the mother thinks that the woman is no good for him, then big problem coming also. Yeah. So the opposite is wanting others to be unhappy, like anger and hatred. Okay. As a result, a result that one needs to avoid is attachment. Attachment that over exaggerates the qualities of the other person, and attachment projects, I am happy because you are my partner, for example. Yeah? This is, you know, that thinking that the happiness is coming from out there, not having, as Nachum would say, not having the awareness or the wisdom to see that the happiness is coming from me because my heart is open. Yeah, because I want this person to be happy. And also attached love needs to possess. Yeah, cannot happen from the distance, one thinks. But it can, we'll do it, maybe we discover it in the meditation. This definition means that love in Buddhism refers to something quite different from the ordinary term of love, which is usually about attachment, more or less successful relationships and sex, all of which are rarely without self-interest. Instead, in Buddhism, it refers to detachment and the unselfish interest in others' welfare. So detachment doesn't mean disinterest. It just means you don't want to possess the other person. Yeah. That's all it means. So sometimes we also call, when we talk about love, one also calls that loving kindness, like metta. So loving kindness is the wish that all sentient beings, without any exception, be happy. Loving kindness counters ill will, like, wanting somebody not to be happy. The attitude of loving kindness is like the feeling which a mother has for her newborn son. She wishes that he may enjoy good health, have good friends, be intelligent and successful in all that he attempts. In short, she wishes sincerely that he be happy. One may have the same attitude of loving kindness for a particular friend or for others in one's class, community, or nation. In all these cases, one wishes that the person or persons concerned enjoy happiness. The extent of loving kindness in the instances mentioned above is limited to those for whom one has some attachment or concern. The meditation on loving kindness, however, requires one to extend loving kindness not only towards those whom one feels close to, but also to all others whom one may know only slightly or not know at all. Finally, one's loving kindness is extended to all sentient beings in all the realms of existence. Then only does the ordinary wholesome attitude of loving kindness found in daily life reach the state of the sublime or the immeasurables. Yeah, as we said, we are talking about the 4 immeasurables. They are called immeasurables because they include all sentient beings. Yeah, you remember at the beginning when we started, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So one goes in steps. And this is what we will do in the meditation at 20 past again. Okay? Again, nothing complicated. I won't be able to participate in the meditation. I'll listen to it later. Yeah, it's okay. What I have to open it here. Thank you. Oh, it's private. I shouldn't read it out. I know that you've made that such a way like it. Okay, I'll be talking to Namgyal maybe later on, Maya. Oh, don't be jealous.
So
Yeah, I'll give
him regards for me.
I'll give him your regards, also Fred and Maya and anybody else who knows him. I'm not sure if it will work. Sometimes it doesn't work because he's at the other end of the world. Also Gila, okay. I will give him my love. He's quite well. He's doing a lot of things online also. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I saw. He has a really his own place right now in Toowoomba.
Yeah, exactly. And he's trying to make an ecological Dharma house, with ecological, also where a little bit NIF's idea, also where young people who have problems can come and live there. And with the Sangha community to be supported and like this, I hope it will happen. He would be a good boss there, I think, because he can be very stern. He's very loving, he can be very stern, and he's very good with difficult people. So it's like, I hope it will happen. I hope he's not too old to start something like this because it's a big thing.
Well, he has a lot of energies, that's for sure.
He has a
We
lot
always
of
say in Tashida that he's sort of like a one-man show, It's very, very
yeah,
funny.
Yeah, right. Okay. So we'll take a break until 20 past, like 15 minutes. And then we do the meditation on loving kindness. And then if you have questions, you can ask questions because then basically we are finished, like for today at the end of the meditation. But I'm quite happy to stay longer if you want, because I do have time. I only need to go shopping, but that's it. So, so we can take all the questions at the end. Okay. Okay. So have a good break and see you in 15 minutes. Maybe Giddy, I don't know, maybe you can just leave it on, no? Because then I don't have to come back in. No, not possible? Because you can, I don't know, but Zoom, I don't know, YouTube, but Zoom, you can just stop the recording and then you continue. But
I will stop the recording, I'll end the session, and I'll immediately open a new one so people can rejoin. But we have to finish the session for the...
okay, sorry. Yeah. No, then you can do whatever. But maybe put it on back on, and
Yeah.
then they can chat
Yeah,
with
I'll
each
put it
other.
on immediately.
They can chat if they want. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful teaching.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please don't forget Tara.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
do it
you.
at the end of the meditation, isn't it? That's all.
Yeah, just please don't forget.
Well, if I do, then just remind me, please, again. Okay.
Bye. In an Israeli way.
Bye-bye.